A small plane crashed into a mobile home park, according to the Clearwater Fire and Rescue Department, causing several homes to catch fire.
I could go over the section, but they went down hard. They're in flames.
All could have been so much worse.
Plane crashes are one of the most devastating and tragic events that can occur. They are rare, but when they occur, they're almost always deadly. Unfortunately, we have just witnessed one such tragedy in the state of Florida. So what caused this devastating incident? How did it unfold? And who were the victims? Join us as we explore how this plane just crashed into a mobile home in Florida. It was a calm and sunny day in Clearwater, Florida, when a sudden explosion shattered the peace. A single-engine plane had crashed into a mobile home park, setting several trailers on fire and sending debris flying in all directions. The residents of the park scrambled to escape the inferno, while the emergency services rushed to the scene. The fate of the pilot and the passengers was unknown. The plane was a Beechcraft Bonanza V-35, a sleek and powerful aircraft that had been in production since 1947. It was one of the most popular and enduring models of general aviation, with over 17,000 units built by Beech Aircraft Corporation of Wichita, Kansas. The Bonanza could seat up to 6 people and had a retractable landing gear and a variable pitch propeller. It was also available in 2 distinct tail configurations: the conventional tail, which was introduced later and marketed as the Debonair, and the original V-tail, which gave the plane a unique and futuristic appearance. But the V-tail also had a dark side. It earned the plane a notorious nickname, the fork-tailed Doctor Killer. The name reflected the fact that many wealthy and overconfident amateur pilots, especially Doc, bought the Bonanza as a status symbol and flew it without proper training or experience. The V-tail was prone to fatal accidents and in-flight breakups, especially in turbulent weather or under stress. Some blamed the design of the tail, which reduced the stability and control of the plane. Others blamed the pilots, who often exceeded the limits of the plane and themselves. The Doctor Killer label was sometimes applied to the conventional tail version as well, although it had a better safety record. A comprehensive study by the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, AOPA, in 1989 revealed that the Bonanza had a slightly lower accident rate than other similar single-engine, retractable gear airplanes in the United States. However, the study also found that the Bonanza had a higher rate of gear-up landings and inadvertent landing gear retractions on the ground, which caused significant damage to the plane and its occupants. The study attributed these incidents to a poorly designed gear retraction switch on early models, which was easily mistaken for the flap switch. To prevent this confusion, newer models from 1984 onwards had a relocated and more distinctive gear retraction switch, as well as additional safety features such as squat switches and a throttle position switch. A shocking discovery in January of 2012 prompted the Australian Civil Aviation Safety Authority, also called CASA, to issue an urgent airworthiness directive of AD that grounded hundreds of planes across the country. The affected planes were all Bonanzas, twin Bonanzas, or Debonairs, and classic aircraft models manufactured by Beech Aircraft Corporation in Wichita, Kansas. These planes had a distinctive feature: a single pole-style yoke that controlled the elevator and the horizontal part of the tail that controlled the pitch of the plane. The AD was triggered by 2 alarming incidents involving frayed elevator control cables, which connect the yoke to the elevator. One of the planes had a cable failure just before takeoff, narrowly avoiding a disaster. The other plane had a cable that was severely worn and damaged. Both planes had cables that were more than 15 years old, raising serious doubts about the safety and reliability of the aging fleet. CASA decided to take no chances and ordered all planes with similar cables to be grounded until they could be inspected and replaced. The grounding affected only Australian planes, but it had global implications. The Bonanza, twin Bonanza, and Debonair were among the most popular and long-lasting general aviation aircraft in the world, with over 17,000 units built since 1947. Some of the planes had been in service for more than 60 years, a testament to their durability and performance. But the grounding revealed a hidden flaw that could jeopardize their legacy and reputation. The AD required all planes with frayed cables to be grounded indefinitely until new cables were installed. The planes that passed inspection were given a grace period of 60 days to replace their cables as well. The replacement process was costly and time-consuming, as the cables had to be custom-made and fitted by certified mechanics. Many plane owners and operators were frustrated and inconvenienced by the AD, which disrupted their plans and businesses. The AD also sparked a controversy between CASA and the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, the airworthiness authority responsible for the type certificate of the affected planes. The FAA did not agree with CASA's decision to ground the planes, arguing that the cable issue was not a widespread or imminent threat. The FAA instead issued a Special Airworthiness Information Bulletin, SAIB, which advised the plane owners and operators to inspect the elevator control cables during the annual inspection, but did not mandate any immediate action. The FAA claimed that the SAIB was sufficient to ensure the safety of the planes, while CASA maintained that the AD was necessary to prevent potential accidents. Now, since then, there have been numerous accidents and incidents involving the Beechcraft Bonanza. On a fateful day in October of 1947, the state of Oregon lost 3 of its top leaders in a single plane crash. Governor Earl Snell, Secretary of State Robert S. Farrell Jr., and State Senate President Marshall E. Cornett were on their way to a hunting trip when their Bonanza 35, piloted by Cliff Hogue, encountered a severe storm and went down southwest of Dog Lake in Lake County, Oregon. The wreckage was not found until 2 days later, and the cause of the crash was never conclusively determined. Some speculated that the plane was sabotaged by political enemies, while others blamed the pilot's lack of experience or the plane's design flaws. Also, in January of 1952, a royal romance ended in tragedy when a Beechcraft Bonanza crashed in Gadwar, Rajasthan, India, killing Zubaida Begum and Hanwant Singh, Maharaja of Jodhpur. Zubaida was a famous actress and the first Indian woman to star in a talkie film, while Hanwant was the ruler of one of the largest and wealthiest princely states in India. Their marriage was controversial and opposed by their families, as Zubaida was a Muslim and Hanwant was a Hindu. Hanwant was also under pressure from the Indian government to join the newly formed Republic of India and was campaigning for elections at the time of the crash. He was reportedly exhausted and sleep-deprived, sleeping only 4 hours a night. The crash site was hidden by the local villagers, who looted the plane and buried the bodies. The wreckage was rediscovered in 2011 in the cellar of the Central Jail in Jodhpur, where it had been stored for decades. Another incident happened on the 31st of July 1955, and the Hollywood scene lost one of its brightest stars when Robert Francis died in a Bonanza crash. Francis was a young man and handsome actor who had just made his debut film in The Caine Mutiny and was hailed as the next James Dean. He was flying with his friend and fellow actor Richard Mansfield and their flight instructor when their Bonanza crashed shortly after takeoff from the Burbank Airport. The crash was witnessed by several celebrities, including Jack Benny and Debbie Reynolds, who were at the airport at the time. The cause of the crash was attributed to pilot error, as Francis had failed to retract the landing gear and had exceeded the plane's weight limit. The music world was also rocked on the 3rd of February 1959, when a plane crash killed 3 of the most influential rock and roll artists of the era, Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper. The 3 musicians were on a tour called the Winter Dance Party and had decided to charter a Bonanza 35 piloted by Roger Peterson to fly from Clear Lake, Iowa to Fargo, North Dakota to avoid a long and cold bus ride. The plane took off at night in poor weather conditions and crashed shortly after in a cornfield near Mason City, Iowa. The crash was caused by a combination of factors, including the pilot's inexperience, the plane's faulty instruments, and the lack of proper communication and navigation facilities. The crash became known as the Day the Music Died, after Don McLean immortalized it in his song American Pie. These are just a few of the many Beechcraft accidents that claimed the lives of several people. The most recent incident happened on the 1st of February 2024, and the pilot and 2 people on the ground died when a small Beechcraft Bonanza crashed into a mobile home in Clearwater, Florida. The victims of the crash were the pilot of the plane, Jimin Pertel, 54, of Melbourne Beach, and 2 elderly women who were inside one of the mobile homes, Martha Perry, 86, and Mary Ellen Pender, 54. Perry was the owner of the home, and Pender was her friend who had come to visit her. They had no chance to escape when the plane smashed into their residence and ignited a massive fire. The fire department received a report of a structure fire at Bayside Waters, a mobile home community also known as Japanese Gardens, around 7 p.m. Thursday. At the same time, the airport tower received a frantic distress call from the pilot of the Bonanza, who was screaming "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday" over the radio. The tower lost contact with the plane shortly after, as it disappeared from the radar about 3 miles north of the runway. Fire Chief Scott Ehlers said at a news conference that the fire crews arrived at the scene within minutes and found a scene of devastation and chaos. 4 mobile homes were engulfed in flames, and debris from the plane was scattered everywhere. The firefighters battled the blaze with the help of aircraft response vehicles, which are specially equipped to deal with large fires. Ehlers said that the fire was under control within an hour, but the damage was already done. Ehlers confirmed that the fatalities included both the occupants of the plane and the mobile homes. He said that the plane was located inside one of the homes and that the bodies of the victims were recovered and identified by the authorities. The cause of the crash was still under investigation, but Ehlers said that the weather conditions were clear and calm at the time of the incident. The final moments of the pilot were captured in a chilling audio recording that was obtained by Fox 13. The audio revealed the pilot's desperate attempts to save himself and his plane, as well as the horror of the witnesses who saw the crash. The audio began with the pilot's voice sounding calm and composed, reporting to the air traffic control at the St. Pete Clearwater International Airport that he was having a problem with his engine. He said that he was looking for another airport to land, but he couldn't see any. He then said that he was losing an engine, and his voice became more strained and panicked. His last words before the audio cut off were, "Oh shit." The aircraft controller tried to contact the pilot, but there was no response. The plane had vanished from the radar about 3 miles north of the runway. The controller then heard another voice, that of another pilot who was flying nearby. The pilot said that he had seen the plane go down hard and that it was in flames. He said that the plane had crashed into a house and that the house was completely destroyed. He said that he had seen the plane descend at an extremely high speed. In his own words, they went down hard. They're in flames. He is definitely into a house. A whole house is demolished, the pilot said. I just saw him going down at an extremely high rate of speed. We're still waiting to get the official report to know what went wrong, but all we know for now is that Dr. Killer has taken yet another life. What do you think about this? Let us know in the comments section.